Yes, yes, yes. Y'all see it, and I have it up there for a reason. I'm not taking it down until you marvel over this piece. You already know who's going to be in here with us this lovely morning. Thank you guys for being here. You already know what time it is. It is your boy LR, Lael Rockwell, for the 1/6 Scale Man YouTube channel. And this is The Corner. Definitely so glad to have you guys here. I'm excited. I hope you guys are. I'm not going to do a lot of talking this morning. I normally do, but I'm not because I'm fanboying out over this piece. It is an early Christmas reveal for me. I'm so excited. So excited that I almost accidentally ordered two, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Before we bring the man I know you guys are basically waiting on, let me actually bring in my co-partner right here, my bro, all day, every day. We got Reviews with Rich. What is going on with you, brother? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm awesome. Thank you very much. What a great way to end the working week by being on with you and meeting Joost for the first time. So,
hell yeah,
man, I'm really good. I brought out the 89 for everyone to marvel on as well.
Yeah, bro.
In keeping with everything going on, and you can see I'm stood up, so you can see these bad boys upstairs as well. Those are all part of the 1/3 scale Prime 1. So yes, man, I'm all good. So I'm ready to go.
Oh man, thank you very much, and so glad to have you here.
For asking me.
So glad to have you guys here with us this lovely morning. And I'm going to address the chat in just a moment, but without further ado, I got to introduce you to my guy Joost. He was gracious enough to actually come on the show this morning, so we could talk about everything, all things Jazzinc, and this masterful piece of diorama that we actually have coming up here. I mean, you already know him, and if you haven't, he's already solidified himself as a legend in the game right now, as far as what he's basically bringing us. Ladies and gentlemen, you know who it is. Joost, what is going on, man? How are you, bro? How are you doing this morning, man?
Yeah, I can only disappoint. I mean, I'm a legend, so that's only downhill from here, you know.
Legend in the game. Cool, man. You already know what it is, man. And this is what everybody have come to see. We already got like 62 people in the chat, and it's only going
unbelievable.
Up. Yeah, I mean, unbelievable. People are out here to basically come to see you, bro, because again, you guys never fail to disappoint, man. That 89 Batmobile, like literally, I mean, I can't say it enough, man. When I saw it, when it went up it's like, you know what? It was like an early Christmas thing because I got up early in the morning just to wait. I was waiting because I was like, let me hit that button real quick because I do not want this to slip by, man. But so glad to have you here, man. How you doing?
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It really is a pleasure. I've been looking forward to this all day because yeah, it's been a stressful week with the pre-orders going live and all the stuff going on there. So this is nice, a way to unwind and just chill out and talk.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, man. So glad to actually have you here, man. And I'm just so honored to have you here with us this lovely morning. And we're going to actually get into some discussions here, man, with you in just a moment. Let me address the chat real quick because we got a few people in here that are already here waiting. We got Charles Rubble in the building. Thank you for being here. We got Sluggin 16 in the building. New channel member. Thank you for being here, bro. Exactly. Cool. Love it. We got Aaron Grove in the building. We got my man Uncommon Flex. What's going on with you, brother? So glad to have you here. We got channel member AJ Agrusa here as well. We got channel member Pure Stowage in the building. We got 8-Bit Flea in the building. Who we got? Azim, Renz Talentino. We got and a great Renz Talentino. I mean, this guy, if you haven't seen his artwork, Joost, this guy's incredible. Like he is a phenomenal artist, bro. Like literally. This man is a genius. He's a mutant. That's what I call him. He's a mutant, bro. We got Webb's Love 1122 in the building. We got Colin DeLorean 3610 is in the building. Thank you for being here with us. Larry Walker. We got Agent Silver Fox. Me and him was chatting this morning about the Wonder Woman figure. Man, you know, he's another DC fan as well. We got Jedi CRI in the building. We got Marco Polo. He said, hello, Lael, Joost, and everyone in the chat. Loving this 89 Batman. I'm telling you, Joost, I think you, bro, you've kind of like, you set the bar high, man. We got Collector Joey here. Delia Meyer. Who else we actually got in the building? Let me see. Webb's Love 1122. We got Joost out there with Jazzinc. Everybody, what's going on, man? We got Primetime Reviews. DK is in the building. Calvin, aka Loki Collector, my bro, Calvin. He's another person that was anticipating this. Gilbert Hartman. We got Benjamin N.E. Green. some guy, Michael Maglia, man, what is in the building? Crescent Towns. Oh man, I cannot pronounce that last name, but I'm so glad to have you here. Windman 42, Johnny, Darth Reese. We got Larry Walker, Tsunamo 09 is in the building. Some guy, we got Hoth, hometown hero. Thank you for being here, bro. And yes, and quite a few others that are actually skirting through here. Brandon Salad is in the building. Thank you for being here. We got Fuel Rush is in the building. J Rob. And yeah, Josh Baker is here with us, man. Yes, so glad to actually have you guys on. So we got Reviews of Rich out there. Six Scale Collections is actually out there as well. So again, everybody, thank you for being here. We are gonna dive in. Joost, I mean, so here's the thing. I want to start off with this, bro. Like, you have to know that when you're releasing an actual piece, right? When you guys sit around and you go over, okay, so we've done this piece. What's next on the slate? I think I'm pretty much know that you've planned this stuff ahead of time. You have to, it has to be like careful, strategy and very strategic on how you plan these things out over time. But you had to know something in the back of your head had to know that, okay, this is really going to be something special. Like it has to tell you in your core, like this right here. I mean, we've done some things. I mean, you've done the Justice Mobile. You've done the what is it? The 66 Batmobile,
66,
right?
Yeah.
You've done, just so many things. The Batwing as well. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you're actually giving us. I have the Race Speeder. I have the the Iron Scavenger. You've done so much so far. It's like you're and now like it's just going forward. You just have so much. But this right now, this moment, especially when you release this, it was simply amazing. But you had to know, like something in you had to know, like, yo, this is going to, and based off of the response, this is special. What did you think when what went into it, like the anticipation when you released it? What was the responses that you've seen so far, man?
Yeah. Oh, so there's so many things to unpack there. I mean, first of all, this is my original Batman. I mean, I was 15, 16 when that came out, and that was the first really big movie that I was aware of. I mean, Star Wars, of course, the original blockbuster, but when you're that age and this movie was so hyped, and I really loved it when I saw it, so it wasn't overhyped to me, and I saw that Batmobile. So I talked to someone who owns the original from the set for reference and measurements, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm here. I watched this as a kid, and I'm working on this now, and there's people coming out of the woodworks. So there's someone. So that was for the Batwing, but then it also helped with the Batmobile. Somebody approached me who worked on the original Batwing for the 1989 movie.
Wow!
And I'm like, that's mind blown. So that is, yeah.
Would you be able to kind of talk through the process? Obviously, I know you got the license for it in the first place. I know you got the lot of DC. How did it go about? Did you go, okay, we've got original stills, we've got the blueprints. How did the design process? Because you can't just go, here's the original, I'm just going to shrink it into 1/6. You have to make it engineered right. So how did you do that?
Oh yeah, but so there's a lot there too. So basically anything from the previous century, Warner Brothers doesn't have much or anything, not in terms of files or reference or so we did a lot of research on that, and it's really the community. So there's a lot of fans out there that helped us. Let me pull up because I keep a list of the names, so I can mention them on the packaging. That they are my Batmobile consultants, as you will. And so those are much more important than Warner Brothers is. So what I'm waiting for, I was supposed to get it this week, but it's probably going to be later. What I'm getting from Warner is their 3D files and engineering files for the vehicle that's going to show up in the Flash movie.
Yes.
You've seen that thing covered in a tarp in in the trailer. So
I
can't say much more, but I think you can pretty much understand what you're going to see there.
Yeah.
So hang on, I'll look that up later. So I want to give credit where credit's due. Anyway, so supposedly that's the same thing, but it's not, because there's going to be 4 people seated in that.
I was going to say, it's extended. The cockpit.
It's a modified version. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but did you know that for the original 1989 Batmobile, there was actually room behind the 2 seats as well? That's where the stunt driver was actually.
Wow.
Fun fact. Wow.
So the stunt driver was behind them the entire time.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so there was always room for a person in the back. So what we're waiting to see is how much can we use, because we've done our own studying of the models of the drawings and the photos, but basically this is very much like we did the 1966 when he started that. We're like, we have no reference, and you really need the fans much more than you need Warner Brothers for this kind of thing. And that's no dig at Warner Brothers, but the fans are just, they know much more. And so for the 1906, we had like Eric Seltzer from the 96batmobile.com. And so we got Dominic Artale, who is a massive fan of the 1989 Batmobile, got me some stuff. Then, well, there's a bunch of other guys, William, who's working on, Brian, who's working on actually a full-scale version. We're working, I've asked him to show me, so this, okay, this is not certain at all, but it's very high on my wish list, and from what I hear from the group, it is as well. If we surpass a certain point in pre-orders, and we're getting to that point where I think that's possible, one of the things I would really like to do is make a motorized canopy on a remote.
Ooh,
wow.
As an additional feature. So standard is going to be lights, sound, smoke, like you've seen in our 2022 Batmobile already, on a remote. But people ask me for extra features all the time, right? And then it varies from die. And it goes from die-cast parts to, do you want that shields cover, or and I'm like, so the shields cover is an interesting example, right? Because that's a huge part. So if you had to make a mold for that, that would be a mold that is 5 or 6 feet to fit that part in, and that's a lot of metal, right? For a part that most people aren't going to be showing, because then you'll be covering up your Batmobile, right? So why not put that money towards something cooler, like die-cast parts or a motorized canopy? And there you go. Bristow is a very good supporter. He's been with us for years. He's got a lot of our stuff.
Heck yeah, bro.
So that's what we're looking at. But so back to your question. So we're going to get those files, and then we're going to see how close we got to our model. Plus, there's a 3D designer called Donnie who already did a lot of good work. We used that as a jumping off point for our model, but there's still stuff that needs to be tweaked. Even if you look at this picture, remember what I told you right before we went online? One of the tweaks that we have to do to this version, that's going to be in the prototype that we hope to release somewhere in probably April or May. That's going to be the final prototype before production. This is where we put in all the tweaks and changes. So there you see these front fenders, and they dip down towards the canopy. And the dip that we have in there is slightly too large compared to, and this is what's wrong in many models. So and I forget his name, but somebody in the group pointed that out to me, and you were like, Lael, you were like, I don't have that focus on the details, and
I don't.
And the funny thing is, do, though. No, but for some of those things, I don't see it until I do, and then I cannot unsee it. So And so for the 1966, which was before my time, I didn't have a frame of reference, and when I looked at my first model, I'm like, we got this. This is good. And then it was just torn apart by the real experts. And now I look back at those pictures, and I'm like, why didn't I see that? And now I cannot look at a 1966, even the stuff that George Barris made after the show, and I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, that is way off, way
But you
way
know
off.
what I love about it though, Joost, is the transparency. And that's what you don't really get from a lot of company, is that you ask, you're basically putting it in the hands of those who are fans and say, look, how can I improve? Like what can I do to improve these pieces? Because we want to make sure that you are getting the most accurate representation of, so that transparency right there is amazing. And because of that, it definitely does influence progression and innovation. So, with that, being as transparent, and I appreciate even people chiming in and just giving advice, and, because now they know they have the confidence in you, that you can actually deliver, great pieces and, masterpiece and great art. So, I mean, I love that. And the simple fact that people are paying attention to those particular details, and, letting is just like, because sometimes, like, a lot, even me, myself, like sometimes we can get ahead of ourselves when it comes to certain things. Like we're just so excited about it. We're like, yo, we got the exact representation. And then somebody comes back and says, well, wait, this is what you need to do. So exactly. I love that, man. I definitely love that.
Yeah. But that's just, it's a natural progression, because everything we did is starting from a grassroots. I mean, I fought starting Jazzinc dioramas tooth and nail at the beginning, because I had a full-time job, I have a family, I have a dog, I have hobbies, I like to make music. So anyway, and the idea is coming from the community. I know I've said this before in other interviews, but for every product I can point to half a dozen things or more that were either improved by or started by the community and the ideas. Like the motorized canopy, I don't know why I didn't think of it, but it wasn't my idea. So,
and you know what? We were talking about it, and this the thing is, like, we were I guess like everybody must have been speaking this into existence, because we automatically assumed, there was a lot of people that assumed that it would have the automatic canopy and stuff like that. And we were already just throwing it out there. So for you to basically say that, it's like, oh, wow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, wow. Like that could really happen. So, I mean, and like you said, the direction that you're going right now, and so far, the responses that you've gotten from it, and as many people that have been, basically pre-ordering and really going after this piece, it says so much. I mean, I remember like 89 standing in line, couldn't wait to actually get in to see this actual film, having my Batman button, being a Prince fan, couldn't wait to, I remember all of that, and going in and seeing this for the very first time. Like even the ideas behind this vehicle on screen was ahead of its time. So again,
the
like
design was amazing.
You know what I mean? So to this, the sheer fact that you're actually doing it. And the one thing I wanted to ask, like, because your attention, it's not just attention to details, but also symmetrically making sure that it's true to scale, I know is really important to you. You know what I mean? Because when everybody thought about it, it's definitely going to be much bigger than the Hot Toys version that was released a long time ago, which is, it brings it more a level of accuracy. What's the like behind like making sure that you were true to just the full scale of it? You know what I mean? How does that come about? Like what goes into like making sure that that's really perfected?
Yeah, so it started off with people telling me that the Hot Toys one wasn't, well, we knew it was too small, but if you look at the pictures now, and especially me, like I said, when I do a deep dive in a model, then all of a sudden you see stuff and you can't unsee it. And now I look at the Hot Toys one, and the from the front of the canopy to the front of the Batmobile, that piece that's entirely too short. So not only is the scale slightly off, but also the how would I say this? I'm not a native English speaker, but so the ratios.
The ratio of it.
So that's slightly off, and then one of the things I notice is that now that we've done what we've done and we've shown what we can do with the 966, the Justice Mobile, the 2022, with the people start trusting us, right? And that we have the best interest in the community, and so there's a major difference between that and like even a year or 2 years ago, where now people come to find us, and so we were introduced to this guy who bought not only the 1989 from set, but also the 1995 from set.
Wow.
And he was gracious enough to just to set up a couple of meetings, and together we could do all the measurements. And then I was blown away by how much difference there is in the not only the design but also the size. So we could confirm what we heard that from the experts. Like, if you do this, make sure you get the scale right. And I'm like, that can't be hard. Well, apparently it was hard because
someone else did it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, no, if the scale is, and here's the thing, and you're talking to someone who missed out, because I remember when Hot Toys basically released the original, 89 Batman figure, the Keaton figure. I missed out on it. So I didn't actually get it. So I'm going into this really, I don't even have the figure in hand. I didn't start really diving into like 1/6 collecting until afterwards. And it's just the car in general. And the thing is, it's just like, I know that eventually that figure is going to drop. Right now, I don't care. I just want the car. You know what I mean? Like, that's just basically where I'm at right now. But I know that scale is really important. It's important to a lot of people, because I know that's just a conversation that goes around. But I think, so far, like, you're really doing such a great job at making sure, and again, that transparency with, asking people for, just ideas. And if they, if they're really, diving deep into this, and, have a lot of fans that are that love the 89 Batmobile, give us some insight on what to be thinking. And that's what I love about it. But man, I'm definitely excited about it. Rich, you have any questions, man?
Yeah, just one of the things for me, obviously, I'm fascinated by this anyway. I used to work in design, and I'm in engineering, so it's this, and then this combination with Batman is my guy. You can see I've got regalia everywhere. For me, this is obviously stunning. I can't wait for this. The difference between this one and the Batman Returns Batmobile is just the paintwork. Do you think you will be releasing that? Because obviously the 89's more of a matte and the Returns one's more glossy. Do you have the license for that? Do you anticipate that happening?
I do have the license for that. Actually, with our performance last year, Warner Brothers has called us gold tier. So we're now gold tier
on
supplier.
That, bro.
Thank you. So that means they're currently working on adding stuff to our license. I can talk a little bit more about that later. But when it comes to Batman, you can pretty much assume I have all the licenses.
Wow. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Congrats, bro.
But you said an interesting thing. You said that 1992 is the 1989 with a new paint job.
Yes.
Not entirely.
Oh.
So the
it's glossy and this one's matte, isn't it? So.
That is the biggest, most standout difference. True. Yeah. Where when we talk about the paint, by the way, this is not just matte. One of the things we are working on, but this is going to be tricky, and I want the fans and people here to give me some feedback on that, because I got a couple of questions for you guys about the 1989. So this one is not just matte. It's it's closer to a satin, so it's not a matte. That's a big difference. But the basis is called flip-flop paint, which means that in certain angles there's going to be a different sheen. The instruction, the design brief from Tim Burton was that he wanted it to kind of feel like a live animal, so that's why they put the yellow headlights in there to give yellow eyes. And then he wanted it to change subtly in the light, so there are shades of, well, I've heard different things, but green and either red or purple underneath. Now, the tricky thing is, we've tried this, but normally with a flip-flop paint, the difference is much bigger. And you can see it slightly coming through here, where there's a subtle green sheen. But in the movie, there's really not any angle where you see anything other than the satin black. So this is the first question I would pose to the group is, if we do this, there's a chance in certain lights in your display case that it's going to have a very green or purple type of hue, which is accurate, but not what you see on screen. And the second thing is, you talked about not having the Batman figure yet, and this put me in mind that there's another question I need to ask. Did you know that for the movie, they cut off Batman's ears on the mask because he didn't fit.
Inside of the actual, yeah.
So if we want to make this accurate, I would have to make it so that you have to cut off your Hot Toys ears.
See, or lean it a certain way, or even take off the cap slightly.
Yeah, and this is the trick with all stuff we make from the movies. So, like for the snow speeder on the original full scale one, and for the model one, they just cut off the legs for the of the figures they put in there, and they made holes in the floor for the actors to put their feet through.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, so if you make a full-scale snow speeder like we do, where we have to fit in the figure, you have to cheat a little, right?
Yeah.
So there's this is always, and this is why we need the feedback from the group, right?
Yeah.
How do we deal with those things that they could just fudge on set?
Yeah, like because the thing is, it is going to be a difficult task, because we don't, like, for the average person who doesn't know the behind the scenes, or anything that kind of goes on in that aspect of it, we're only looking at it from our vantage point. We have no idea of knowing that once the ingenuity, what goes into making sure that you could have this piece, really accurate, and that a figure could actually fit inside of it. Most of the times you'll see people who don't really put their figures inside of vehicles. They'll have it standing on the outside as a nice little display and stuff like that. But you do have to think of it in terms of getting the figure inside of the actual cockpit, having the canopy being able to shut over top of it, and how it's going to actually look and how it's going to translate. So a lot does go into it. And like what you're just telling me right now, I had no idea that that's what they had to do, because again, you got to keep in mind that the camera tricks us, because we do see the conversations going on inside of the car. But I mean, of course, we're going to see that, because they're going to actually build this like a separate set piece, whereas we can get that, it can advance our imagination, of what's going on. So that I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Yeah, same for the 2022. It's nice that you mentioned that. So all the interior shots were actually just made on a set. So they made just the interior of the 2022 on a set, and that's the interior you see most of the time. But the three main cars they used, and they made more, but the three main cars they used had three different interiors. So we have to choose from 4 different interiors. And what's your reference point? Do you use the one on set, the separate cockpit they built, or do you use the one? So it's always going to be a compromise. And for those who put the Batman outside of their Batmobile, they would much rather have it completely accurate, whereas maybe we'd have to cheat a little with the chair, make a little larger wheel or a well for the feet, or I saw somebody
just have the seat drop down a little bit more so they can fit him in.
Yeah, well, you have to do that anyway, because a normal person and a seat have a little give, right? Quite a bit actually in real life, but your figure doesn't really want to bend that way, and the figure doesn't have enough weight to push down on the seat. So even if you didn't have the problem of the ears, you would still have to make the seat smaller. So there's no more room to go lower to fix that, because you're already the figure is already always floating over the seat instead of really actually sitting in it.
Yeah, and plus you have to deal with the simple fact that the cape, how it's going to actually flow, how it's going to sit inside the piece and stuff like that. I mean, it's there's a lot that goes into. Let me get to some of these questions. I see a lot of questions here. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get to you guys really quick. So we got a $49.99 super chat by Rocket Man Chris. Man, thank you so much. I offered my indentured servitude in exchange for a Batmobile, but it was canceled. It was declined. All jokes aside, I feel Jazzinc approach to product development is revolutionary, and other companies should start taking notes. Jazzinc has limitless possibilities, bro. Exactly.
Thank you.
That's a lovely thing to say. Yeah.
That is definitely
wonderful.
An amazing thing to say, and I echo that, and that sentiment right there. I do concur, because yes, that's the thing, is the level of transparency that you have. And then it's like, look, we know that you can't have it all, but what you do and how you approach it and how you get the feedback, and you're very responsive. I would like to call you the James Gunn of the diorama collecting community, because he always responds to everybody. Like literally he does.
Every time. He should every time though.
Every time. So that's definitely a beautiful thing to have here, man. So thank you very much for that. Mr. Holbrook, $4.99 super chat says, "Is the vehicle fully die-cast or does it have die-cast parts?"
All right, so it's not going to be fully die-cast, I don't think. Well, at our current state of the art, it can't be fully die-cast simply because of the weight, because that would just crash the car over time. It just wouldn't be able to support the weight unless we were to build something at like a $3,000 or $4,000 price level where everything is. So
that would be weighted. Yeah.
So, and as for die-cast parts, so that might be possible, especially for, I would think it would be cool for the things on the sides, which I just call the side greeblies or side pods. That maybe, but it really is too early to tell. If we can go with that motorized canopy, that might take up more of the budget. There always will be metal parts, so it's always going to have a metal subframe like we did for the 1966 and stuff to make sure that it's always strong and supported and straight. The axles will be metal, all that sort of thing. So there's metal parts in there, but beyond that, I cannot confirm that yet. It's just too soon to tell for that. Yet.
Definitely. I mean, it's definitely again, I mean, I don't mind, because the thing is, if it's because you have to think about the weight, you also have to think about how you're going to really display it. And like, I mean, then you know, a lot of people, you have to also think about the cost that goes into like shipping, import, different locations and stuff like that. If it's overly weighted, then people have to understand that it's going to definitely increase those prices. So, you know, that's always the thing. It's different if you basically live in the same space, but if you live overseas, then no, it's always going to be an issue. We got another question here from Benjamin E. Green. He asked,
hey, Benjamin.
question to Joost. Please, is there any plans for a 1/6 scale, the new Batmobile in Arkham Knight, the second Batmobile? Good question. I'm really not familiar. Well, I am familiar with the game, and I do remember that one though.
All right, so I think I can share my screen, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the picture that I usually send when people ask me that question.
Okay. See, always prepared.
Here we go.
Yeah,
there you go. All right, so present. Share screen.
Yep.
I hope I can. Yeah, here we go. Are you seeing this?
In. Yep, I'll bring it in.
Are you seeing the problem?
Wow. Oh my God. Oh my God.
That would be the biggest vehicle we had ever made. I mean, look at that. That's what, 7-8 people in that thing, around that thing.
Wow.
So I'm afraid that's going to be too big.
That's going to be amazing. Let me bring this in for, like, look at that. Are you kidding me?
It is like kidding me? The game, though. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yo, that is insanely huge. Like, I can only imagine, and the detail that would go into that. Oh man. And, you know, let me ask you a question, yo. So this is going to be crazy. This is funny. How many people, and I can only imagine, how many people have reached out to you and said, Joost, can you give us that back tank that we saw at the end of the Justice League? The Zack Snyder Justice League.
Yep. Oh yeah. I've had questions for full scale X-wings. I've had questions about full scale Falcon, Millennium Falcons. I mean,
man, come on, like that. Maybe like, it's like, that's one of those things where, like, if you're a creator, you just build one for yourself and say, you know what,
and even
then, like, that's like years of preparation and a lot of material you got to purchase that goes into it. That's really, really, really nuts. But now, what we go into that, man, like, wow, that right there. Yeah, nah.
So maybe I could. So go ahead.
Sorry, was because obviously collectors get excited. We get excited. We want the bat bike. We want the bat tank. We want the thing from the game. We want this and that. Where does it come to a point where you go, okay, that's not financially viable to do something like this, like, for example, because obviously it's ridiculously huge, but where do you have to go, okay, they're saying these things, I'm listening to them, but I have to be reasonable and kind of check myself when I'm listening to this. Do I have to pursue those random niches that you might not necessarily have the audience to buy those things? How do you judge that?
No, I've developed kind of a sense for that. So I've been burnt in the past. I have to be honest, where people didn't put their money where their mouth is. Meditation Chamber comes to mind, right? And the Falcon Cargo Hold expansion. So, but especially for the stuff like the 1966 and the 89. You come to a point where there's so many requests that I'm thinking, it's safe. And then for the rest, so maybe I could jump to an example and then answer a super chat at the same time. So the 12 scale 1989 Batmobile is a question that's come up quite a lot, right? Yeah. And what I've said in the past is what Webslove's 122 is referring to. Is it's a bit of a chicken and the egg situation, because I get almost daily requests for doing something 12 scale, but we've done 2 12 scale products, one Batman, one Star Wars. Both have been a huge disappointment when it comes to numbers, that we don't even get to our minimum numbers. And that's like, we require less than 1% of what a normal Hot Toys run would be to be viable, which is what makes us unique, right? So the 12 scale thing, my theory now is that they're used to such lower prices, because the 12 scale business is a much, much higher volume, especially anything that is Mattel, right? That if you want to do the 12 scale game, my current theory is you need high numbers, thousands instead of what we're doing, hundreds. Yeah. And then you can say, because of simple quantities of scale, I could offer that very same vehicle for $200 and $250 instead of $400 to $500 if you do a couple of hundred, right? So that halves the price. But if I put it up for pre-order and I don't get to those thousands of orders, and it sticks, the needle sticks at a couple of hundred, I'm in the bag for $100,000 in costs, right? And then that's the end of Jazzinc. So
makes sense.
So since we have the license, we can do a Kickstarter. And I said the 89 Batmobile seems the prime candidate, because there's not a good 12 scale version out there, which there is for the BVS and Justice Mobile. There is one, well, there's a couple for the 1966, and the 89 is popular enough to get enough volume.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to make a calculation when we've learned everything we can learn about the 89 Batmobile. And first, we're going to finish the 6 scale version. But by the end of the year, when that goes into production, that is in production and we're getting ready for delivery, I should say, so Q1, then we have time to re-engineer that to 12 scale, because you can't just shrink that, because release angles, wall thicknesses, all that sort of thing, it doesn't work. But and then I'm just going to make a calculation. How many do I need to get to that $200, $250 price point? Yeah. That's how many I put up on Kickstarter. If we get there, good. And if we don't, I don't have to worry about canceling and refunding hundreds of orders. So that's definitely happening, Webslove. I think end of the year. And then, because that's why I wanted to make the jump here, I could imagine something like we're putting up on screen here in 12 scale. If 12 scale does work, then there are things that are too big for 6 scale, but would be cool to make, like this from Arkham Knight. We make that in 12 scale, right?
Yeah, bro. And that's the thing, is like a lot of people, I mean, because when you're going scale to scale, different scales and stuff like that, then there's different demands. And again, like when we ask for certain things, like you said in the very beginning, you have to put your money where your mouth is and make sure that you are covering those expenses. You have expenses that you have to cover, cost and material, distribution, stuff like that. Like, I mean, a lot of things really, really, really cost. So when we have these demands, like the thing is, it's like what I love about it, I love like the go big mentality, like because you've actually given us pieces that are larger than life and things that we have never expected that we would ever see. Things that we were promised in the past from certain companies, you're saying, nah, I'm gonna give it to you, and you've done that. You know what I mean? So when we see that, it's like, okay, then it's the impression like, okay, now let me just ask, I want this, I want that, I want to see if I can get this and get my hands on that. But we have to also keep in mind that it's all off of demand. Like we're taking, like you get a lot of requests, but it's fulfilling those requests, and are you going to get enough feedback and enough traffic to really produce that product? Because it's all hearsay at the moment. You know what I mean? And you don't want to, you got to cover, because you don't want to, you know, lose a lot. You know, you don't, you know, especially dealing with the high demand. If you can't cover those demands, then it's at a loss, and you have to take that hit. So definitely, I understand that.
Yeah, because the fixed cost is the big issue. I mean, the molds. Those are huge pieces of just basically solid metal, and I have suppliers that for like we're currently working at. Now we finished the molds for the 2022 and the Batwing and the Snowspeeder, so those are now into parts production. I've shown the pre-production version, so this is what I've shown is what the people will actually be getting, right? But like for the 1989 Batmobile, the molds for that, they take 3 to 4 months to create. So that those are so big, so intricate, and so take so long to machine, and then sand, and then harden, and all that sort of thing. So you can imagine that for a big product like the 1989 Batmobile, that could go up to close to 6 figures to fix costs, right?
Yeah.
And so, and if you have 100 people that have to pay off that fixed cost, then you're talking $1,000 per person for that mold. Now, that's just the math doesn't work. It doesn't.
Yeah.
And in the past, I've been known to keep adding stuff. I did that for the 1966, even though my budget was shot a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
And so I have to watch myself. I'm glad my wife is now
she
part-time.
rears you in. Yeah. She's like, let's bring that back.
Now she has an MBA and she runs our back office with the finance and stuff. So she actually sold her company in September, and now she's still doing a little bit of outside work, but she's 80% of time Jazzinc, and then of course just my dad. And so we've got a lot more financial insight now. So that really helps, because you know I love doing it, and I hate disappointing people, and I might overstretch myself. So it's good that she's there to check me. You know,
definitely, man. Like that's all. Hey, we always say it. Women are always there to basically. My Toya, where to tell you, my girl, she rears me in like all the time. Like sometimes she'll come down here, she'll see boxes of figures that are down here that I haven't even pulled out yet, that I'm getting to because I'm so far behind. And she's like, so when did these come in? And I'm like, well, you have to understand the dynamics. She's like, well, just remember we have this coming up, that coming up. And then I start feeling bad because I can't keep saying, well, look, I've paid for this in advance. Like all this stuff was paid for, is just delayed.
You still paid for it though.
Yeah, you know, but it's still you paid for it. So that's what you got to think about. So I'm like, yeah, you're right. So she makes sure, but it's always good to have her there because she rears me in, but she's also an idealist. So she always continues to kind of help me innovate and stuff like that. So it's always good, man. And on top of that, having a family owned business is a beautiful thing, bro. I think it definitely is. Let me see here. We got a 99-cent super chat by super sticker. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
A couple more questions that we actually got here that actually came through. Let me get to them. We got a $5 super chat by Sluggin16. Hey, Joost, do you have enough pre-orders to continue production on the 1995 Batmobile? I heard you mention that in one of your videos about pre-orders.
Oh yeah, so you don't have to worry. We will go forward into production, but I am taking a risk. You got that right. That is just one of the lesser popular models, and we have a minimum order quantity with our suppliers that we have not yet reached. That's why it's not sold out yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, but we are definitely going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So far, the only thing that we are going to have to cancel is the BVS Batwing, but that's only a few dozen people. So anyway.
Okay.
Got you, man. That's good. I mean, again, but you have we're talking about demand, and if there's not a high demand, you have to do what you have to do. So completely understood.
And Warner Brothers has a minimum, and that they've already lowered that for us, because usually you're talking thousands and tens of thousands. But so anyway, we're good. It's definitely going on.
It's sort of good, like, bro, that it's like almost where you're just like, yo, I literally have a key to a kingdom. Like, I have to have a key to kind of play around in this space. That's the beautiful part, bro. Like, literally, I love that. We got another question here by my bro Nick's Collectibles. He said, I have a simple question that nobody else wants. Make Tobey Maguire's pizza delivery scooter.
No. Tell him no. No niche. No.
I'll make you one, bro. Definitely.
I didn't say what scale, so I'll just get him one and just put a bunch of decals on there.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Definitely, bro. Definitely, man.
Full scale.
Definitely.
Boom.
Boom. There you go. We got another super chat, Mr. Holbrook, $4.99. Thank you for that. Could you briefly explain your payment for the Batmobile? When will the first payment be due, or when is the first payment due? I guess.
Yeah, so for any payment plan, the first payment is basically due upon the date you place your pre-order.
The deposit,
yeah, the deposit, exactly. And usually we give a couple of weeks for people if they're behind. But then, like I said, I have my wife, and it's one of her jobs is to hunt down the people, make sure that's like a full-time job for every Thursday for her. To get to chase down payments, and so we usually give you a couple of weeks, but then you'll get a notice that since you didn't place the deposit, we'll just cancel your pre-order and you've lost your place in line, basically.
So speaking of that, so one question is, like, say for instance, because I know like you have the payment dates, so and I guess there'll probably be people out there that want to know this too. What if you wanted to make a payment earlier than what was on that date? Can you do that?
Yeah, so for the new website, yes. So for the old system, where we were stuck in this like WooCommerce WordPress environment, we couldn't. But we since then dropped a custom site that was just built from scratch for us, and we got a lot of feedback from the customers to get a better customer experience. And one of the things is that, well, we can accept automatic payments now, so that you don't have to go every month to get the payments, but you can also opt out of that, so that you can still do the manual stuff, and you can still and you can go ahead and pay custom amounts, and you can pay ahead if you want, and it's even fine if you're like a week late. I mean, my wife won't be happy for me saying that, but it's not like you lose your order when you're a week late.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thank you for answering that question.
Sure.
And then we got another question from my bro Jonathan King. Thank you for being here in a $9 super chat. He said, hello, is there a demand? Looking real sharp. He always looks sharp, man. He's the coolest dude. He said, is there a demand for any 80s IP like Knight Rider, A-Team, Airwolf, or Magnum PI? Airwolf. Oh my God, bro. You took me way back.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's definitely a nice question, man.
That's a good question. I think Knight Rider has a very good shot for the future.
Wow.
I've seen that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen a lot of requests for that. I am so much a fan of Knight Rider as a kid.
Yeah. Me too, bro. Me too.
I've already talked to some people at Universal who own Knight Rider. And right now, this year, I'm just too busy. But for next year, I'm thinking of combining a couple of Universal IPs, because the way it works, if you get a license, is they want a minimum guarantee, and you have to pay that up front. And that's usually quite a significant amount. Yeah, and that's quite a significant amount. Yeah. So that whatever happens, even if I don't sell anything, they have their money.
Gotcha.
Makes sense.
And so, and they're on hold. They hold all the cards. So what can I do? And so for Knight Rider, I can imagine. So this was a suggestion that came from another interview that was a great idea. So Jurassic Park is also a great IP, and that's also Universal. There was a third, and I've talked to I talked about the DeLorean because that's why I initially started talking to Universal. Funny enough, after 6 or 7 years of nothing, I talked to Universal, and they went around because they loved what we were doing. They went around to all their representatives, and we got the DeLorean 2 drop 10 days or 14 days later, and that prototype had been done for years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I think that is out, but I could imagine if they can share the IP with so Hot Toys has that, right? But I'd be interested in maybe doing like maybe part of the train, or maybe in 12 scale, or somebody suggested that old clock that they stand in front of for the picture in the
third one.
Yeah, so there's a Universal doesn't have a lot of IP, but if you get like Jurassic Park and Knight Rider and maybe some things from Back to the Future that Hot Toys isn't interested in, I can imagine making a package deal with them next year, and moving forward that way. Yes, I'm very interested in that. I want a kit for myself. That's the way.
Bro. Oh my God, if you did that. Oh my God, do you know how crazy that would be? That would be insane. Like, people would go nuts. That's another piece from my childhood. I'm like, yo, just take my money. We got Brandon Saller, who says, Yost really is the gun of collecting. Of collectors. LOL. He kind of sounds like him too.
That is a great compliment.
There's loads of people complimenting what you said about the Jurassic Park stuff, saying let's go Jurassic Park. We need that. Yost, no one touches that IP in 1/6. I might die of happiness if I get 1/6 Jurassic Jeep. So there's loads of interest out there.
It's definitely.
But you could do the Jeep, but you could do the figures. You could do like some of the dinosaurs, but also like Dr. Grant and Ellie Sattler. I mean, why not?
That'd be cool. Why
that
not?
Would be phenomenal, man. And also we have Double Dragons.
A 1/6 scale Velociraptor would be amazing.
Yeah, definitely would be.
Very cool. Very cool.
Would be. Double Dragons Collector says, will it make sound effects? So I guess he's talking about the Batmobile. Will there be any type of sound effects?
Yes. We're
there you go.
Both the 1989 and the 2022 will have sound effects, smoke, and lights, all controlled on a remote.
Wow. See, Yost, I gotta tell you, I was going to pass. Oh my God. I was going to pass on the Batmobile, bro, on the 2022. And now that you're talking about these sound effects, I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, on the 2022, that is just so cool with that.
I know. Oh yeah. See now, Rich, no.
Rain in.
Rich, no. Rich, no. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, no. No, that's what's the status of the 2022? The last one, the Batman one. Have you got any updates on when that's due to be released or anything? Because a couple of people have been asking in the chat for the Batman.
So I don't know if everybody saw that. I can show you some pictures. So that's the final production version we're talking about. Let's see.
Let me see. Hoff's Hometown Hero. I'll get to your question in just a second. I'm not going to forget. I want to see these pictures first. So I have yours in the back. Don't worry. We'll get to it.
Let's see. Present again. Share screen. Yeah. Window. Here we go. Are you seeing this?
Yep. There we go.
Here we go. All right. So this is the final production version. You're actually seeing the weathered version. This was we weren't completely done with the weathered version, so I'm going to show you some more recent pictures on the 2022 weathered version coming up. But so you see the remote there. That remote is what controls your light, your sound, and the smoke coming from the back from the engine. And you're seeing the blue lights of the flames, and those pop like the real thing. So now you're seeing them, but they blink really rapidly at the sides like the real thing. So this is the final version of the clean version. We had a bunch of feedback on the earlier version. So what's kind of cool there is we darkened up the metal here a little bit.
Look at that.
But that looks so cool. And then we did so the step on the clean version is black with a little bit of paint chipping, but on the weathered version, that is almost the paint is almost completely gone. So we're including those differences. For the people who have the clean version, that's what you're going to get. If you want a weathered version, that's the other one. This is the engine for the clean version. Looks from the top. This is what's on the passenger side inside with the nitrous tanks and all the extra buttons. Then this is the final version of the weathered Batmobile looking from the side.
Look at that.
That's my favorite. This is so cool. And
yeah, mine too. Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, but this looks so unrealistic with the mud spatter. Yeah, but that's actually what they made on set. And this is actually the version that they used to film the chase between Batman and Penguin. So this one was shown at the Paris premiere. And so this was actually artificially weathered by the crew. And I got a lot of set pictures because I talked a lot to the people on the set. I got the files from set. So this is actually final production version. So this is what you'll be getting if you order from us. There's going to be a little bit more detail added. You see the interior here with the lights and the cockpit and it's a whole thing.
Wow. So I think you just really literally did answer Hometown Heroes question, because he was like, well, wasn't going to ask because I did not want to divert from this Batmobile, but since scooter questions are cool, any updates on the 2020 Batmobile? There you go.
It's on schedule. There's a couple of other updates for the Hometown Heroes. So the 2022 is still on schedule. So we got the first batch coming in right before the summer, shipping out to people. But since we are so close to delivering that first batch, people have been asking me to push back the pre-order close date. And for the people who haven't heard, since I've been burned in the past, I am not making any extras anymore. So as soon as the pre-orders close, boom, that's the edition size. And every single one is made to order. And I cannot push it anything beyond February 28th. So this month is the final month you can get in your pre-order. If you start a payment plan, even if just getting the pre-order, that's fine. Your order will be counted only if you make a deposit, or my wife's going to kick my ass again. But 2022 Snowspeeder as well is closing February this month.
Wow,
man. So
was that for the weathered and the clean version for the Batman? Okay.
Yep.
And how do they compare? I don't know if you can talk really numbers, and I'm not expecting you to, but I'm just saying, what's the demand been? Is it been leaning towards more the clean version or the weathered version? Have you found so far?
It's I'll check for you, but it's pretty close. But I think there's a slight lean towards the weathered version. So the clean version is slightly lower numbers, but both we're talking in the low triple digits for the edition size. And it's going to be a signature edition. So it's going to be a signed plate by me and my dad. They're going to be numbered by me and my dad. And so the edition size, let's see if I can't look that up for you real quick. 2022. My wife makes these very cool sheets for me. Oh crap! I'm looking in the wrong place. So for the clean version, I think the edition size is going to be around. No, hey, the clean version outsold the weathered version. Am I right?
Oh wow.
Yeah. So both are going to hang around 300 pieces worldwide.
Wow.
So that's quite limited edition.
Very.
Yo, see now
that's limited edition. Everybody out there, that's limited edition.
Rich,
that's
you just had to highlight that question. I was trying
compared to
questions, man.
Compared to the hot toys, the in-arts, and all this that we're looking at. So I mean,
that's 50,000 pieces for a 6-kill piece. That's
Yo, so I might have to do it, bro. I might have to, bro, because the thing is, the only problem is trying to figure out between the clean version and the weathered version. Because the weather, you know what, the clean version does remind me of Kit, sort of in the front. It does remind me of Kit. So it's the best of both worlds, but that weathered version also looks great too.
The weathered one for me, I think that would look amazing. Yeah.
In real life, I've
Mhm.
seen them both, of course. I'm keeping a weathered one for myself. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
you
worth
should.
So
anything.
Yeah.
you said the weathered one is better.
Yeah.
You said going with the
That's
weathered one. would be-
Yeah.
It looks from that first photo that you shared, Joost, that struck out to me straight away was the weathered one.
The weathered
It
version.
looks, it
And
looks
if
perfect.
and if
Sorry.
you look at that in real life, it looks so much more
Yeah.
lived in and real.
Yeah.
It looks so much more like a real prop. So
So
Man.
I'm not enabling Leal or myself when I ask these questions, but obviously
Yes,
we've
you
got
are.
the
Yes, you
I
are.
am the 89 Batman pre-order window that we've got. How long is that staying out for open for? Because I haven't put a deposit down yet, but I might put a deposit down on the Batman one and then put the 89 one later. So
yeah,
that's what I'm thinking out loud.
very good. So I'm very open-minded to conscious of the issues with lots of pre-orders at the same time. So again, I'm trying to push that date as far back as I can.
Yeah.
And for the 1989 Batmobile, so we've already made the minimum numbers. So that's the difference between like the 1995 and the signature edition. That's open only because we haven't made the minimum numbers yet. It's still getting made, but that's why they're open for that long. And it leads people to believe, oh, I've got time. But for the 1989, as soon as if I'm happy with that second prototype in March, April, then we're ready for tooling. And even for tooling, I need to know. So just to give you a little bit of behind the scenes knowledge again, for tooling, you can have so many different metals that in terms of hardness, and then so many hardening techniques, and they all cost different prices. So there's a difference if you're making a mold for 300 pieces or a mold for 600 pieces, right? So I need to lock that in, because if I make a mold for 300 pieces and I sell 400, then I can't, right? Because the mold's just shot. So I can't predict, because maybe the second prototype is shit and we have to do a third, and then you're looking at the summer. So it's going to be anywhere between April to this summer. For when I close, because we're already at where my mind was blown last week. We're already at the minimum order number I need for the 1989 Batmobile. So that was,
bro, it was impactful, bro. You don't understand. You don't understand, like, people, this, okay, I got to show you this really quick, because this was, let me see if I can pull it up here, if I can find, this was literally, hold on, I'm gonna pull it up here in just a second once I find it. I think I got it here now. Hold on. This was literally me. The day that this thing went up. This is me. You see? Can you see it?
I don't see it.
You don't see it yet? Hold up. I'm gonna pull it up here in a second. This was literally me, bro. I'm telling you that one tear dipped. I was like, yo, I couldn't help it, bro. Like, I was so excited. And I know a lot of people were too, bro. Like, the response on that, like, it's been pretty much the most talked about. I know by me. I mean, as soon as it went up, like, there was no, like, I know we talk about not pre-order and certain things and stuff like that, but that was a no-brainer. Boom. First day it went up, boom. It was a no-brainer for me. We got OG Mando, $5 super chat. Yo, Razor Crest, please, from my office. It's the most iconic in Star Wars. 1/2 or 112, please, Joost. I will pay you open checkbook. LOL. Definitely, man. So we know that's actually a topic, bro. Okay.
The thing is, there's so much Star Wars vehicles I want to do first. So I got to be honest. I want to do that N1 beat up. I want to do that one as soon as I saw that, because I'm a huge Mandalorian fan.
Yes, bro.
I saw that, I'm like, oh, dude. And then, but Hot Toys did tease it, so I have to wait. So before that, like the Jedi Starfighter, X-wing cockpit, and those sort of things are probably going to be first. Before the Razor Crest.
The X1 cockpit, definitely that would go off, especially with the that would be amazing. I would love that. We got a $1.99 super chat, Rocket Man Chris. Speed Racer 16 Mach 1, bro.
Definitely on my list. You're talking about. You asked me, Rich, how do you know if something's worth making? Well, the amount of questions you get is one good indication, and Speed Racer is one of those that I've been solidly getting every week since I started.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, so Chris, I can imagine that. Actually, in one of the last live streams I did, somebody looked it up, and the license is held by Speed Racer Incorporated or Enterprises or something. So it's not even a big studio. So it might even be easier to get the license for that. Again, I'm full up for the next year, but Speed Racer is so much on the list, just like Kit. And I think it's a cool vehicle.
Yeah,
so
of course.
It's got to be. Yeah, I would be very surprised if I didn't do a Speed Racer Mach 1.
God.
That's cool. That's cool.
If my Uncle Keith, like we always call him Uncle Keith, he's normally in here. If he sees that, he is going to go nuts. Like literally, he is going to go nuts, and he will buy it from you straight away because we're talking about classic, so that's just a no-brainer for him. My bro, all day, every day, brother cousins tour reviews. He's like, shout out to this great panel. Joost, is the canopy motorized? And that's we did talk about that.
Yeah, so that is definitely on the wish list, and I think it's the number one wish. The thing is, like I said at the beginning of this interview, I've been talking to someone, Brian, who made a full scale one, who made a gorgeous version of the motorized canopy as well for his full scale version. And he did say that even on the 1-to-1 scales, the motorized canopy is hard to do in terms of panel gap. So there's always the thing that makes his stand apart is that it really closes seamlessly. But if you do a couple of hundred and you've got tolerances, because imagine a car that's over a meter, so that is what, 4 feet. Even if you have only 1%, which doesn't sound like a lot, 1% of tolerance, you're talking about a centimeter, which is like a third of an inch. That's huge. So we're talking, when we make stuff, we're talking about tolerances of less than a tenth of a percent. And then then we're still talking about 2 millimeters, which is still more than we usually have as a tolerance, right?
Yeah.
So to have something with probably closer to 100th of a percent of tolerance for this canopy, that's going to be the tricky one. And maybe we use a little bit of silicone on the bottom because it's black on black. Yeah, that's what we've been. We're already thinking in engineering solutions. That's one of the solutions we've come up with that would prevent any light leak or anything like that. But just if you try to imagine, a millimeter is too visible on a 6-scale vehicle, even though that's less than a tenth of a percent of tolerance on your parts. And you always have tolerance issues. You always, because materials move. It's just impossible. That's why there are panel gaps on any car you buy, right?
Yeah.
Because they can't make it fit so that they butt up perfectly.
Can't become completely streamlined. No.
Yes.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
So that's what we're working on. I really want it, the motorized canopy, and I'm going to do my utmost to get that in there.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm just so happy that that's even in the discussion in general. Because again, I'm just stuck on a car in general that I don't pay attention to everything else. My mind is on that car. My girl's so tired of me talking about it, bro. I'm telling you, she's gonna pick me up. Like it's almost an every other day or everyday conversation, like literally leading up to this point. So definitely, we got Hristo coming in with the $10 super chat. Will it be possible or how hard will it be to get Michael Keaton's signature plaque for the 89, similar to Zack Snyder's BVS Justice League Mobile?
So believe it or not, we've also looked into that. Okay. All right. So here's the reality. Michael Keaton does sign stuff, but the price he charges is $400 a piece. So if I want to do that, I would have to add $400 a piece for every car to get that signed. Wow. And the thing is, Zach approached me. His and so Zach and Patrick Totopoulos, the designer of the Batmobile, they are placing their signatures on there, and in return, we are giving up a part of our profits, a large part of, almost always, all of it, to his charity for suicide prevention, as you might know.
Because
his daughter,
exactly. So that's why we were approached by a friend of his who put us together, and so that's not a commercial deal. Now, if Michael Keaton were to have a charity case or cause that he would sign for, then we are all on board, because we can do that, right? But not at $400 a car at the current.
Especially the current pricing for it. I definitely get that, man.
But we do know someone who knows Michael Keaton, so there is a line there.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's always definitely a good thing. We got a $4.99 super chat, Mr. Holbrook. Joost, would you consider the RoboCop police car?
All right. So again, using that gut check instinct I've gotten, this would be a very difficult one, because I do get the question from time to time, but based on my non-empirical evidence, I would say there's not enough to support even a couple of hundred of these worldwide, and that's basically what we need to survive.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think with iconic cinematic vehicles, I think you've got Bond cars. That's come up on the chat quite a few times, which is something I was going to ask you today. You got the Batmobiles, you got the DeLorean, you've got all those kind of classics. So I think those are the ones that you got to kind of cover first, then go to the second tier and etc. But I think is there any interest in you guys doing anything to like the Bond cars or anything? Because I would 100% get a DB5.
Yeah, Bond is another one that's definitely on my personal list, which is also a very big incentive. For Bond, there's an extra complexity in the fact that you have two licensees. Yeah. So both for the Bond and for Aston Martin, you would have to get approval for both, and you would have to pay them both. So that is going to be one of the major challenges going forward with the James Bond stuff.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm definitely interested in doing that, and that is something I'm going to be pursuing, or at least finding out if it's possible. But I'm not as sure as I think we can make Knight Rider work, right? And I think we can probably make Jurassic Park work. Another thing I get asked a lot, Mad Max. One of the things Warner Brothers approached me about, by the way. Yes, they've seen what we can do. One of the gold tier perks is they want us in any park that's got a Warner Brother theme worldwide, and they want to show off our stuff. And so they've asked us, are you interested in doing Mad Max? Because this year is their 100th anniversary.
Bro, you're going to have a lot of people excited over that, man.
Yeah, and so for Mad Max, it would be extra interesting for us during the 100th anniversary for a stupid legal reason I'm not going to bore you with, but for legal reasons, it's going to be interesting to introduce that or start the design licensing-wise this year. And so after the summer, I wouldn't be surprised if we were to do something Mad Max based, vehicle based.
Wow.
Yeah,
cool.
Bro. That would be incredible. We got the 1 6-figure focus in the building. He said, yo, I have to buy 2 89s for Leo, one to rock, one to stop. My bro. Thank you for stopping through, bro. He's always definitely. We got a couple more super chats here. We got Wes Payne in here, $2 super chat. Any work to get the James Bond DB5 made?
Yeah, like I said, it's the 2 licenses. I did talk to somebody who currently has the 6-scale James Bond license, but that was over a year ago, pre-COVID, when we were talking about maybe cooperating on something. And I've been so busy that since then I haven't chased that down again.
Big Chief Studios, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. I've talked to the owner, and because they wanted to. They came to us basically for some of the stuff that they want to do, because they couldn't find anyone else who could do that at the low quantities that we do and the pricing that we do. And so they were talking to us about some of their other licenses. I can't go into detail for contractual reasons. And I talked to him about And he told me that for the DB5, I would have to also get the Aston Martin approval.
Yeah,
which is a lot easier with all the stuff that all the vehicles that we have under our belt now. So,
you got previous. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
That's fantastic.
Definitely. We got super chat here. We got Restless Youth Productions, $2.99 super chat. Thank you for that. He says Punisher van.
I've never had that request. I've never had that. I don't have an idea. But if I were to do vans, which in 6 scale is looking at something very big already, then the 18's got to be the next. Yeah, got to be 18. Yeah,
definitely
so
18
after Knight Rider. Yeah, so after Knight Rider, I would much rather look into like the 18 van if that's doable in 6 scale.
I even seen somebody up on like in your group ask for like Tron vehicles. Like I've even seen that like from the original Tron. I was like, yo, that's insane.
Someone's already made them before, haven't they? Yeah.
And I don't get that question a lot. So then the if I look at into something that I get asked a lot more is the Blade Runner stuff.
Yeah, you definitely. Oh my God!
But look at all the stuff we've already mentioned, man. I mean,
it's absolutely.
I'm busy till retirement with
like you really got so much stuff going right now. Like like Zach16 says, still hoping and praying for a 112 Batwing one day. You have addressed this, but one can hope. Yeah, you know.
Yeah. So Batwing, I don't know if you're talking about the 89 or the BVS version. 89 has been teased by Hot Toys, so I would wait to see what happens there first. But I can't imagine. Really, the 89 Batmobile is the litmus test for 12 scale. If I can get that to work at the end of the year, as I discussed earlier in this interview, then more things will be possible.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thank you for that. And you know what? Somebody is asking one of the marquee questions that I definitely wanted to ask you. And I'm glad. Hey, good question, because this is how one of the questions that was on the slate. He says, what is the future for, well, actually, not this particular question, but what is the future for figures for Jazzinc? Will you be expanding on the Iron Scavenger?
Yes. I definitely see a future for figures. Because there were several reasons. One is kind of selfish, because there's a couple of figures I really want to make and I want them. And I think there's the same market for, because if you don't have that minimum order quantity limitation, because I did talk to a lot of suppliers that are in the supply chain for Hot Toys, and they say that they won't even talk to me if I don't put up an order of at least 5,000 pieces, right? And there's plenty of figures that are interesting, even at a tenth of that, right? So the most obvious things to start with, and which is what we're starting with, is some from the Batland stuff, because we have that license. And so 66 secondary vehicles, characters like Batgirl, Alfred.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Catwoman, 2 Catwomen from 1966. I could even think it would be interesting to make a double pack of Batman, Bruce Wayne, so Adam, and then Robin, Burt Ward, to have a double pack made, so that people who didn't get the initial release, because that was 10 years ago, and then so you have something new to bring to the table and get people a chance to get a really officially licensed 1966 Batman and Robin figure, right? And then Mr. Freeze is what we're looking for. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman.
My God! Now I'm perking up. You got that interest. Interest is there. You got that interest there. Here we go. So that Catwoman, bro. Yes.
Yeah. Well, so Warner Brothers is definitely on board with us doing that, and what they're doing right now, because we were in London when they told us about the gold tier thing last year in September. We're there, and we've started the ball rolling, but because we have actor likenesses, we need to wait out those, and how many people are open to that. So give you an instant, for instance, one of the first things I mentioned, what I thought would be very cool, is Danny DeVito's penguin, right? That is a very cool figure. But
Danny
sitting at that
DeVito.
table, the first thing one of the reps said was, "Oh no, Danny's really not into that." So
Yeah,
and
that's what
so
we
there's a
heard.
chance that all these things I'm mentioning, maybe they all come back with a no. I don't know. Probably not all with a no. So yes, I'll be expanding in figures.
Oh wow!
And again, there's so much room for, and the beauty of it is, first off, it's so much easier than vehicles.
Is it?
Second, yeah, oh yeah. Secondly, we got an amazing sculptor, actually two people that we're working with right now, so that we can definitely secure Hot Toys levels of quality in terms of sculpt and paint. So I've secured that, and then we have an entire supply chain thanks to that Iron Scavenger. That so it doesn't interfere with any of our other builds, right? So, and there's a lot of weight involved with figures because of the art, the artist approval, the likeness approval, the Warner Brothers approvals. So, doing a company like this, it's juggling a lot of balls, right? And you need all those balls in the air. Because if I were to do, I always say you have to think of this in stages. So you have the design stage, which is basically all virtual. Then you have the prototyping stage. Then you have the engineering stage. Then you have the tooling stage. Then you have your production stage. Then you have your packaging. Then you have your shipment stage. And you need a project in all these phases, because if you do just one and take them through all, then you're waiting. You're doing a lot of waiting. I told you, like so for like the tooling, for any project, is anywhere between 3 to 5 months for my suppliers to be done with anything we've engineered. Just that's how long it takes to do that, right? And then during those 3 months, that project is basically on hold, waiting for those tools to be done to do a first production sample. Now we've just finished that for, like I said, the Snowspeeder, the 2022, and the Batwing, and then we can test out if everything we imagined and thought up is actually going to work. Then there's always a few adjustments that have to be made to the tooling to get a better fit or what have you, right? Then and then we go back and the suppliers produce parts and they make sub-assemblies and all, and then there's weight involved for us again. So to make sure I keep busy and I don't have the peaks and the valleys, I make sure I have something in all these phases. And that's the careful planning you mentioned early in the video. It's that was very smart of you, because that's exactly what we're doing. So right now I'm already working on the slate for 2024, right? I need to prepare. And that's basically a lot of prep work and a lot of weight work. But if I don't do it now, I have nothing to do in 2024.
Exactly.
And so for the figures, there's a lot of weight work involved there, and like I said, I can't do the sculpt, so that's also something that I have to do. Let somebody do, and I've got a couple of talented guys who already said they're on board with everything that we're planning. And so figures is a perfect addition. Like I said, even something as complex and large as the Iron Scavenger is a walk in the park compared to a Batmobile. So.
And that Iron Scavenger, you nailed, like literally.
Thank you.
It's like literally you nailed it. I mean, it's basically a fixture on my display with the rest of the villains. So definitely you nailed that. So it's going to be interesting to see the future when it comes to figures. We got another question here, Pedro Lopez, and thank you for actually having Scarlett Johansson as your thumbnail.
Look at what she's wearing on her head.
That's crazy. That's incredible.
That's insane,
right? We got Fast and the Furious is Universal property. Any possibility of Dom's Charger?
Pedro, you helped me, because like I said when I addressed Universal, I said there was a third that people suggested, and I think that was it. Original Fast and the Furious. Right. I can totally imagine Dom's Charger as the third property to get Universal to bite on Kit. So Knight Rider, Jurassic Park, and Fast and Furious. I can see that happening. Yep.
There's a couple of different, like, we got questions floating around, like people. Aaron Grove said 92 Catwoman must buy. We got 89 Batman figs for Batmobile. That was one of the questions that were there. Like if that would be something.
Isn't Hot Toys, or hasn't they? If they haven't,
They reveal they sort of like revealed
teased.
it at the Comic-Con. They teased it, which means that, and I think they have the license for the Flash. So again, I think that's what we'll probably see.
Yeah.
Probably another version of the 89.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think we'll actually
and
see
maybe
that.
even a re-release of the DX09 or something to that.
Yeah.
Close to that.
So.
I can't. I'm counting on them to do Old Man Keaton and Batman from the Flash. If that's a shoe-in. I would be very surprised if they didn't also do young 1989 Batman, because I think we're going to see him in the Flash. Plus, there's going to be enough market anyway. I really think they're going to be dusting off their molds for the 1989 Batmobile and offering that up because they already made their multi six-figure investment in those molds, right? And they didn't throw those away.
Exactly.
You see the same thing for the DeLorean. That's they invested a couple of $100,000 in those molds, and those things are sitting there. Dusting that off and not having to do that investment. That's why they can do the DeLorean at what was it, 800, 900, right?
800,
yeah.
Because it's basically the same mold with a couple of small details changed. So I'm still expecting the numbers on my Batmobile to drop because Hot Toys is going to, and they're going to re-release that 89 Batmobile with those old molds for $800-900, and that's going to lead to cancellations. And I've already calculated that it's going to be too bad, but
man, if you want the accuracy, is just something to think about, and that's what I'm saying. Like
scale.
if I want the scale, I want true to scale. That's where I'm going. That's
the real deal.
The real deal is where I'm going, and I think a lot of people will think about that. And I think that you got a head start on that already, so I don't think it's going to affect too much. There's already so many things that they've promised that they were going to release that they haven't. So there's always creating that skepticism, even though, like I said, I love their stuff, but it's always that skepticism that's actually going to be there. This has been another question that's always been in the rotation. Joost, will you be or start attending like some of the cons, some of the bigger cons and stuff like that?
No, right now I can't foresee that. I mean, for kicks and laughs, I asked for prices for a booth at San Diego Comic-Con. I would be happy if that were my annual profit, guys.
Wow.
So
see, and I figured that because that's what I hear from a lot, and that was one of the reasons why even Sideshow stopped attending the New York Comic-Con because of those prices. Like
Inart said the same thing, didn't they? They said it would be too much money.
Yeah, like they're asking for astronomical prices just for a booth, and it's like, yo, like wow, like if you want us there to showcase our product and to draw more attention, but then you're I'm not saying overcharging, but it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. That's incredible.
And I think it's fine for the bigger companies, but not a tiny fish like I am. And you have to think beyond so when I'm talking about that price, I'm not talking just the floor, the floor space, but you have to have another company make a booth. You have to get all the prototypes ready, get them shipped, because we did attend a small con through a friend of ours, Mike Studelberg, who got a deal where we basically didn't have to pay for floor space, and he arranged for some tables and some stuff to display our stuff. But even then, we were out a couple of $1,000 just for the shipment of these large pieces in big crates. You need a hotel for the guy. You need food. So if I had to man the booth, fly over there, get the booth, I mean, we're talking so far into the 5 figures, maybe even 6 figures to attend. It's impossible. I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah, definitely. You got USB in here. He's like, give me that orange super from Fast and the Furious. My man, my bro. How much hesitation goes into projects due to Hot Toys by DCC or DC?
Used to be more, but the community and I, we've grown to trust each other. Like with the 1989 Batmobile, even if people cancel, I know there's going to be enough support that I make my minimum order quantities. And like I watched, I think I watched you guys last week, right, Lael? In your when I watched your live stream, and you said it's different products and different segments of the market. So people come to us for completely different reasons, and
Yeah.
of course
They come in for
making
high tier, high end. Like you want high end, you want more accuracy, you want something
more
that's
limited
more detailed.
edition, more accuracy, more input. And one of the beautiful comments I got last week when we did the 89 release is, oh man, I'm so much looking forward to this next year for the ride, right? Because we're doing this together. I've got all these updates when we're doing the feedback sessions, and then the pictures, and then during production and all that sort of thing. So it's a whole experience when you come to us. So that's very different. So I'm not as much worried about Hot Toys anymore. I greatly respect them. They're the reason I got into collecting. I have a lot of their stuff. And they set the bar in terms of quality. They set the bar in terms of detail and all that sort of thing. So and I always stay away from stuff like the 12 scale 1989 Batwing. I could definitely go for that, but out of respect for them, I'm giving all the space. And there's, like I said, I already have enough products and projects that I could go until retirement, and I still got quite a few years to go for that.
Yeah, there you go. And you know what? And that's the beautiful thing that you said that, bro. Like a level of respect that a lot of people should have in this particular market. You know what I mean? Because there's always space to play. So saying that is a very beautiful thing, because like I said, the thing is, it's like you compliment each other, because they have to understand.
Yeah,
you making a Batmobile. Once they release that figure, it's a shoe-in for them to actually have, you know, that figure really sell when people want a complete display. So that's that, you know, you releasing the 2022 Batmobile is a shoe-in for like companies like InArt who are releasing those products to have, you know, their figures really complement.
That's companion with that. Yeah,
it's a perfect companion piece. You know what I mean? Because it really, you know, so that really does. High end, and it's
by the way,
speaking
of 2022 figures, somebody suggested, and I thought, why didn't I think of that? Because I thought Hot Toys and or InArt was already going to do this, but am I correct in thinking that neither of those companies have even shown interest in doing the
Riddler
2022? No.
The what?
It's insane. It's insane. Neither of them have said that they're doing that yet.
Doing what?
Fill your boots. the Riddler and Catwoman from
none of them.
But also Commissioner Gordon, right? Or what is it?
Inspector
Gordon in the movie?
Bro.
I'm like, I want those figures, right? So
and they haven't done them.
Yeah.
They haven't
Riddler
done of them.
And Catwoman and 2022 and all those 2022 characters, the side characters, that's where we come in. If they're not interested, if it's too, because I can imagine that they won't sell thousands of them. I'm fine with that. I don't want that.
If you by you just saying that just now, by you saying Catwoman just now, do you know how many people have been asking for that figure, bro? Like,
I don't know, but why not?
Tons of people have been asking for it. So there's an opportunity there. Definitely.
I'm going to write an email to my Warner Brothers rep right now to add that to the list.
Yo, do that, bro.
We're going to do that.
Do that. See, there you go, everybody. It's their loss. Live. We got it live confirmation that Joost is going to send a message. You got people saying thanks. It's their loss. Thanks. That's what I'm talking. And that's the way I feel. Their loss. Thank you for doing that. See, if you're watching, you watch today for a reason, because I told you we were going to make the dream happen. We got a $4.99 super chat by Kinky Sphincter. Giveaway Lael's Jen Urso. Kinky Sphincter, you going to get kicked out. I'm just letting you know right now. You're going to get kicked out. He said, hey, Joost, what's your favorite vehicle or figures you'd love to make?
Okay. So before I answer that, so it's 2022 Catwoman, 2022 Riddler, and
the Penguin.
And the Penguin. And Commissioner Gordon.
Penguin, of course, Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
To the list of 1/6 scale figures, artist/actor check.
Live stream business inquire. That's the first for sure. There you go. That's the way we do it. That's how we do it.
This is exciting.
This is exciting. That's how we do it, man.
That is cool. It's gone. It's gone, people.
There we go. That email is in.
Wow.
So back to that question, my favorite vehicle and figure. So one of the figures that I really want to make, well, I'm look at I'm really excited about these 2022 figures, man.
Bro,
I want to make them. I want to do them, but because that's a gold mine and it's so cool, and I want them.
Yeah.
So, but so figures I really want to make. If I ever get to like a Marvel license, I want to make the. What's that in the villain in Ant-Man? Not Bumblebee, but
Kang the Conqueror.
No.
Oh, which one? You talk about
the
Yellow
original.
Jacket.
Yeah, that is such a cool figure. That was one of the bummers of why didn't they make that? I really
why
want
didn't
that.
they make? If you make that, bro, like people will be excited.
Such a great design that as well with the yellow.
Whoever got that license, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
Definitely, that would be an incredible piece to make, man.
Yeah. So that in terms of wants for figures, that's Yellow Jacket. In terms of vehicles, well, it's already mentioned, but Kit and DB5 from James Bond. That's high on my personal.
That's amazing.
That's my wish list. Absolutely.
Kit is definitely my wish. And then to hear the sound.
Oh yeah, got to be there.
Oh my God, you have to have that sound there. Definitely. We got a $5 super chat by Joost. You said you plan to make all Batmobiles. Any other past 22, 95, 89 you're thinking about making? So you're saying beyond that,
Yeah. So first, we're going to do a poll for the next 1966 Batman vehicle in Q2. That's when we're done with the 1966 final production run, right? And so that's been so successful that we're definitely doing, and that's something that's been asked a lot. So for the next in that line, Batboat, Batcopter, maybe the Batcave. That's a democratic decision. And then after that, I'm going to leave it up to the group which is going to be next. So it's not a question of if there's going to be a next one. The question is which does the group decide they want next. I've got a couple of suggestions that I've seen, but I think it's going to be a difficult choice as to what is going to be the most popular. I've heard the cartoon version. Yeah, so I've heard that a lot. Maybe I'll put that in the poll. 1997, I'll put that in the poll. Maybe one of the video game ones, maybe a smaller one from the video games one. So that's going to be a democratic decision. Now, I've been approached by the person who made the original 1989 Batwing. We had a video go viral this weekend where we got well over 1 million views from zero in the weekend when we unboxed, or my son unboxed, the 1989 Batwing early production sample, right?
Yeah.
One of the people that approached us was the guy who made the quarter scale model for the 1989 movie. He also worked on the vehicles for The Dark Knight.
Wow.
So I'm talking to him. Maybe we're going to do a live interview where we can ask him some questions as a community. But we might also start something together where we could do something from The Dark Knight. So, but I really want to make as many Batmobiles as you guys allow me to make.
Bro, and definitely we would love it, because you're giving us, like, I'm telling you, this right here is like, is definitely a dream come true for me, man. Like I say it from the bottom of my heart. I mean it. It is a dream come true. Like I've been asking for it and wanting it, seeing not the sideshow version. And then on top of that, because my brother Cousins, he actually has the Hot Toys version, incredible display. He even said, yo, he looked at it, and he looked at this version that you had. He's like, because first he was like, yeah, I don't really need it, but when we saw it, he was like, yeah, I'm getting it. He's like, yeah, I'm getting it. It's a done deal. It's definitely a done deal, because the accuracy.
I think in terms of display, with what we're shooting for, I think the paint job alone might make it worth the price of admission. Because if you you want to get away from that plastic look, so I think there's room there already to make it.
That's
definitely, man. And we got
I
a
have-
$2. Go ahead, Rich.
So I have a really quick question. It's kind of more of
Sure.
a personal one, if you don't mind me asking, because obviously you said you're working full time before, you have family and everything, and you took that step to go down this route. How does it feel looking back from where you started to where you are now, with what you have
Unreal.
achieved? I bet.
Unreal. Yeah. That is the only thing. Okay, and you know what the most beautiful part is? I've done it with the family. My wife loves what she's doing, and my dad. I mean, the guy is 75, going on 76, and he's still cracking and working, and he just loves.
I can
loves
tell.
this.
I can tell, bro.
So to be able to do this, and because I've built companies in the past, that's kind of what I do. And he's always looked at that and he's marveled at how do you do that. But now he's been on board, seeing how do you build a company from the ground up. You know, you have to be able to do.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing to be able to do it with your dad, bro.
Yeah, and then my sons, they work on it, and my eldest is currently getting his bachelor's in new business development. So he's kind of from a student's point of view, also very interested in how we do the stuff and how we approach. And so on a personal level, I mean, it's cool walking into that Warner Brothers booth and being hailed as the gold tier guy and all that sort of thing, and talking to people who worked on set, on so many sets.
That'll blow my mind, honestly.
Yeah, that is cool, but the real joy comes from the family aspect, and that maybe that sounds real corny.
Nah, bro, that's a beautiful thing.
That's why I asked the question. It's all well and good, everything else, but it's just why you're doing it, what you've done, and what you've achieved. It's just fantastic, and you should be incredibly proud of yourself for what you've done. It is amazing. It's inspirational.
It is. It's definitely, and that's what you're doing, something that we all dream of, bro. I dream of being able to have a business that I can keep in a family and see that legacy beyond, like see my legacy extended. Like that's a dream, bro.
Yeah. And you know, whatever happens with my parents now, we've had this experience together. Yeah. And you know, my dad is a real a guy from the 40s, born in the 40s, so not much emotion, but I've seen him in tears a couple of times. And
beautiful, bro. That's a beautiful
for this, the pride he feels that he's part of this too, and that people are asking for his signature, and that we're successful, and like this last the launch we did on the 89, and he's on the phone at 10 p.m. How did we do? How did it go? And he's calling again on Saturday, and that is priceless, man. Whatever.
That's amazing, bro. Like this, you can't. I can't say it enough. Like this, to have that. I know, like, you know, myself, Rich, everybody that's in this community, you know, even us as content creators, like we think about those things long term. Like, you know, what can we pass down to our, you know, our kids? What can we experience with our family? Like, it's a lovely thing to be able to, you know, experience this with my fiance, with Toya. You know, but you know, even my daughter, like, you know, she's into the things that I'm actually into, so I love that. Both my children are, but you're living that dream that all of us as parents, as family members, would love to have. So I definitely so right now I'm living vicariously through you. Definitely, man.
I can honestly say most days I'm living the dream. If I don't have to deal with unreasonable collectors, which there are always a few.
It comes with the territory. You get that, bro.
Yeah,
you get that. So it's definitely. We got Sean Breeze Collectibles. Thank you for a great show and that awesome bat signal. I know that a lot of people are saying that. So definitely, man, appreciate that.
Yeah, that's also, cool. I was blown away how fast that sold out. That was mind blowing.
Yeah, me too. Because I couldn't get my hands on. I was like, because I saw because I fought Mafia. 6L Mafia Anthony had his, and I looked at his. I was like, oh shit, I got to grab. As soon as I went in, boom, gone. I was like, wow, like literally it is. So it's quick. You got to be quick about it. Aaron Grove, thanks for what you do, Joost. My next payment may be late because I'm paying for chats now. Aaron, man, thank you for that, bro. I appreciate that, man, so much. We got, and I think this is one of the last questions. Only got room for one more after this one. We got Rockamon, Chris. Have a 89 Batwing on pre-order. Any chance of getting Dang, I said one more, but there's another one coming. Getting an angle stand right now. Display option is parked or mounted. We need flight.
That's going to be very big. And with the level of support we have for the 1989 Batwing, and that would have to be an additional product, right? And so it would only be a small subset of people getting that. And I don't see that the numbers are going to be there to do that.
No.
I gotta be honest with you. I gotta be honest with you.
Definitely, man. Thank you for that, though.
Yeah.
We have Benjamin E. Green, classic Lost in Space City updates. That's I haven't really, but that's a good question. That's definitely Lost in Space. Now, we mean like the ship itself or just figures?
I maybe have teased a little bit. I don't have any updates until May.
May. Okay, so stay tuned for that one for May. So there you go, Benjamin, is your answer there. And then last super chat question I'm actually going to have here, just to thank you for the chat with Joost and Jazz fam. Too soon to ask for 89 updates, but can't wait to see more pictures from the 89 Batwing and 22 Batmobile. Thanks, guys, and thank you very much, man.
Nice.
There's a couple of different things. If you play back, you get a chance to see a couple of updates that we talked about. But thank you very much for that. And again, thank you guys out there, like, for just the participation today. We got 168 people watching. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Joost, man, it was an honor having you here today, bro. And it was so, thank you so much. It was fulfilling. This Batmobile, and I was asking you that question about the 89 because, like I said, I want to start making payments earlier to get this thing paid off as soon as possible. And because of Rich, now I'm going to be thinking about moving on to that Bat. Oh, the 22. Oh man, Rich, thank you so much for that, man. But but guy
showing no remorse.
You see how quick he was.
I'm doing him a favor. He's gonna thank me afterwards.
But Joost, thank you very much for that, man. And just answering our questions again, guys. Everybody out there, the link, I put the link in actually even to your shop in the description. Also, the Facebook page is actually there. Also, you got my boy Rich. Thank you for being here with me this
that was fun.
So glad, honored to have you here. We will definitely be talking about this more on Collectors Lounge on Sunday because we will be going into that as well. I think that every show I'm gonna be talking about this Batmobile until I get it in hand. So I just want to let everybody know that. So thank you very much, everybody out there. If you haven't already, and I'm just saying this right now, if you want that Batmobile, secure the asset now, because it is definitely, if you are a fan of the 89 Batmobile, if you are a fan of nostalgia, do get that and continue to support. We support, you have to support companies like this because, again, it helps with progression. That's why I do shows like this to highlight companies like this who are giving us high-end masterpieces. So definitely, if you haven't already, go ahead, pre-order it and support Jazzinc because they are giving us supreme product. Make sure you do that. The link is in the description, and you can also go to the Facebook. If you haven't joined the group, make sure you join that to get updates and everything, because the transparency is there, and he is always willing to talk to you. So Joost, thank you for that.
Thank you,
very much, man. Thank
My
you for
pleasure.
being here. Everybody out there, we do thank you again. Tune in Collectors Lounge International on Sunday. Tonight we will have Figure Flex Friday, so definitely be there tonight. And again, thank you for being here, and we will talk to you guys later on. I'm just so elated right now. I just don't know what else to say. But again, you said a lot. Say bye. See you guys later. Right. Have a nice day.